All right, everyone. So I understand the title of this video might make a little waves. Okay. I understand some people may look at this title and say, no, no, no. We don't want Gears of War to do anything like what Battlefield or Call of Duty has done. And I want to tell you, I agree with you. Okay. In the sense of, I am not advocating in this video for Gears of War to take anything from those two games. But I do think with the recent Battlefield 6 release and the upcoming Black Ops 7 release, that there are lessons that Gears of War could take when rolling out E Day and what we need to see in E Day. And here's what I mean: both Battlefield and Call of Duty have gone through, I think, similar paths to what Gears of War has gone through. Now, I think Call of Duty probably has had a much worse path than Gears of War, and probably Battlefield as well. But I just think before the release of these two recent games and one upcoming, both of the stock of Battlefield and Call of Duty were really, let's just be honest, in the tank, right? And this all came to a screeching halt with the release of the Battlefield 6 beta. Now, I played the Battlefield 6 beta and I played it a lot and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It took me back to when I was playing Battlefield 3 back in the day, and I hadn't felt that way about a Battlefield game in a long, long time. And because of that, the Black Ops 7 beta had significant changes made to it. And when I mean significant changes, I mean in just because of the release of Battlefield 6 in the state it was released, Black Ops 7 had to have a complete matchmaking change. And that beta, okay, went from something that nobody was all that excited about, right? People were going to play it, but they were like, "Hey, this thing, we don't trust Call of Duty anymore. We're done with the series." And then they make one change to matchmaking and everybody does about face to say, I'm actually going to give this game a fair shake now because they made the simple change. And that to me, okay, are now two franchises, Battlefield and Call of Duty has not been fully released yet. So we'll see if both of these series can keep up the momentum. But that to me are two franchises that I played when I was younger, I played back in the day, and I loved that are now heading for resurgence if things continue on the path they're on. Battlefield is to me farther ahead because we've now had the game released and there's a lot of love for the game. Black Ops 7, we have to wait and see. But for Gears of War, there are lessons to be learned from these past few months. The biggest one is for years and years and years, I've heard the same old talking points. I've heard regarding the Call of Duty series and the Battlefield series. No, 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 you don't understand. People just don't want to play that style of game anymore, right? That style of online multiplayer is just out of fashion, right? You need battle royales. And I understand Battlefield is now, funny enough, having a battle royale. But the point was, everybody was telling us that these style of games, it's just that they're outdated, right? That's why it's not that the series is getting worse, it's that nobody wants to actually play those style of games. And yet, with no BR, the Battlefield beta crushed records on Steam. The Call of Duty beta, that beta for all of what we've seen over the last few years of the releases of Call of Duty, that had the most positive press at the end of it out of all of them. Okay, you had some of the biggest Call of Duty skeptics who used to be, big fans of the series who were saying, "I'm willing to give this game a shot now." That completely flies in the face of what everybody was saying. And it's the same with Gears of War, meaning we got Gears of War Reloaded. And to me, Gears of War Reloaded gave us exactly what was needed. It brought the Gears of War series back to its roots. It gave us a game that felt closer to what we used to play than some of these modern Gears of War games. And it just, to me, like, if Gears of War stock was low, it brought it up a little bit, right? And the whole point of that was just to show PlayStation fans this is what Gears of War is, so that when you release E Day, which is your new game, right? Which Gears of War Reloaded is just a remake, right? It's just remaking that first one. E Day is the new one, and we could deliver in the same way that we've seen from the Battlefield and the Call of Duty. Once again, I understand there might be people that saying Call of Duty still sucks. It might. Okay, I'm not saying it's not. I just think there's lessons here. Don't listen to people that tell you the only way to make Gears of War fun, the only way to bring Gears of War the series back is to make big changes to it and to have a game that is farther away from its roots. No, right? The Gears of Wars that were the best, and the one that's the best in my opinion is Gears of War 2. That style of game is the style of game we want. That was the game that, just like Call of Duty, just like Battlefield, if you went on YouTube back in the day, you could find a ton of content creators making content on that because it was, I don't know what the player numbers were, but I'm just going off of my, and obviously only, uh, Call of Duty was, or Gears of War was only on Xbox too, which certainly changes things, right? When it was versus a game that's on both consoles and on the PC, but it just it had that type of cultural dominance. It was the thing that when it came out, IGN, boom. I mean, this is a great Gears of War game. That's what we want. So don't listen to the idea of, oh, people are the reason Gears of War is struggling is just because people don't want to play that style of multiplayer, right? That's out. No, it's still in. Okay, I could go back today and play Gears of War 2 online and have that same fun experience. The only difference is that there's less people on it than back in the day, right? And it's not the same. Obviously, Gears of War 2 isn't going to have that same cultural relevance they had then, now. But E-Day can. And it doesn't mean that E-Day has to be better than Gears of War 2. But could it be something where we go, man, this kind of is taking the series in the right direction? Can it be that game where, we're sitting there addicted to it, playing it, and saying, man, I can't wait for the next Gears now because this thing took major steps forward. And I played for the first time the most recent Gears, and I didn't, to be honest with you, I didn't think it was terrible. It just you just understand that it didn't have the impact that those other games had. And I didn't play it during its heyday either, which makes me think that there were probably other problems, way back with it when it first came out and all of that. But the overall point and the lesson that can be learned is very simple. If you just listen to the community, okay? If you listen, I'm not saying that if one person criticizes something, you have to change the whole game. But if you listen to what the majority of the community is saying, we want this, we want this, we want this is the style of game. And even if you can't deliver on everything they want, if you could just deliver on the vast majority, you will have that successful game, right? Find a way to do it. And I think Gears of War Reloaded was the perfect thing to use as a jumping off point. Meaning, if you release Gears of War Reloaded, as they have, all of the criticisms of the game, fix those for the E-Day, right? Fix those for the big one. Give us kind of that throwback, throwback maps. Give us that more um, Gears of War 2 style feel. And you could still make the improvements. Gears of War 2 wasn't a perfect game. I mean, at its time, maybe I would consider it a perfect game, right? But Gears of War 2 had its faults, especially when you're looking back all these years later with all the technology and the other things you could do that were unable to be done back in the day. So you can still make those adjustments and those changes. And by the way, you have a potential Gears of War 2 remake that's coming out at some point too, most likely, right? Reloaded came out, you put E-Day out there, and then a couple of years, maybe we get Gears of War 2 remade when the hype of this game is down. So I wanted to make this video. I understand that the headline might, not make people mad, but people might go, no, 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 we don't want to take anything from Call of Duty and Battlefield. And I agree with that. There should be no change to the style of game. There's nothing wrong with the formula of Gears of War multiplayer, right? There's nothing wrong with it. If you change that, you're going to make it worse. It's not going to be Gears of War anymore. If you take a game and you completely change how it operates, it's no longer that game. Um, and so for that reason, I'm not advocating for taking or learning from two games that have gone through similar, like, I mean, it's almost like the same trajectory, right? Where all of these games were on top at the same time and they've all had their stock tank at the same time. But Battlefield and Call of Duty, at least right now, their stock is getting a little bit higher than where it was at the all-time low. And I think Gears of War has that chance as well. Gears of War can do this, right? And once again, before we end the video, I just want to say Black Ops 7, I'm hoping, I'm hoping that it's good, right? But it very well, I may have to go back in this video and put in the comment section, in a month or two and say, maybe we're just going to learn from Battlefield and not from Call of Duty. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.